Alright, welcome back everybody. It's been like maybe 1 week. My stream last week, if it was last week, was really tired. So we did what we could. But this week is going to be really fun. So I've been doing maybe 2 months worth of work on getting shape keys, animation support into the engine. And I got all the way to the point where it's working and then lost all steam on the actually getting it test added and getting it cleaned up. But one of these days when I'm in a coding mood, I'll clean it up and check it in. But now we're doing some fun stuff. So I have a game I've been working on for a few months now. Well, ostensibly over a year, because I have an idea for a sword and sorcery game that I made a shader for last year, or maybe it was at the beginning of this year, 2025. And so now I'm finally able to work on the game itself. So today's stream we're going to be working on assets for that, and I'll show you what I've got so far. So I'm working on a wizard staff and a hand, and right now there's not a whole lot of magic happening because this is the low poly version of the mesh, but I thought it'd be kind of cool to show my workflow here. So we're gonna have first person camera kind of from your eyes. That's what a first person camera is, and maybe I'm tired today too. First person camera, and you can choose between a mage, a barbarian, a rogue, or a warlock. And this will be the mage, so he's just got a simple staff cast animation. And I've gotten the high poly version of the mesh done and the low poly version of the mesh done and animated. So now we're going to be working on the magic, so texturing and getting the post-process effect, which looks bad now because it will draw outlines. This is the shader that I was working on forever. It will draw outlines based on the normal map of the shader, which I derived from the high poly version of the mesh. So I'm going to be doing that today because right now it's just doing like a traditional normals outline pass. So yeah, this is really what I got into game dev for, was the art side. Don't be confused by the hat icon. I was really excited about a different game idea involving hats, but so I made an icon and then used that same game template file for this new game, and I just haven't updated the icon yet. Okay, so we have our low poly version of the mesh, we have the high poly version of the mesh, so I'm going to work on texturing now. And the one thing that's bugging me is I want the hands to be rotated, but I don't think this is a bug so much as just my lack of understanding of quaternions, because Cal worked on the quaternion and transform stuff, so I'm sure he would know. But I want, when I take a picture of the rotations, the Euler angle rotations, what I want to do is then re-input them into the scene, but when I do that, the rotations jump and they do not land with what I set them in the editor. So I'm going to try one more time. Oh, and I'm listening to Wooden Vessels today. I've listened to them before on stream. They're a really good dungeon synth band that I found on Reddit on someone's post about what are dungeon synth songs I can listen to on stream. And this person said anyone's welcome to use theirs, so thank you to them. They're really good. Okay, so I'm going to take a screenshot here of the rotations. Then you would think that I could go in and set them. Okay, I'm going to move them off the camera here. But when I do go in and set them, sometimes you have to do it a couple of times to get it to really, you have to find the right angle that doesn't try to force the other angles to autocorrect, which then in turn updates it. Something I don't quite get. But this is the kind of stuff I love. I love modeling and sculpting, and I like coding too. Sometimes I love coding, but I code professionally in .NET, and it can get to be a lot of coding because it's, you know, they say that once you learn how to code, you can code in any language, and yes, that's true, but there are paradigms that are just drastically different from the area that you're working in. And legacy software as a service, .NET desktop development, is really, it does not give you a lot of the same tools that you need for C++, low-level game engine development or game development. So sometimes I can run out of steam by the end of the day when it's time to work on game dev. But on the flip side, when I'm working on modeling or, well, I hate rigging, but modeling, I'm also very bad at animating, but I find it really enjoyable, and texturing, it's like time melts away. Okay, so let's see if that's stuck this time. I don't think it's going to. So my workflow here, just for trying to get this rotation, is I rotate it in the editor, my hands, and the staff is parented to the hand. And then I look at what the rotation is, and I copy and paste it back. Yeah, see. No, it's different. I will ask Cal about it later and just continue to manually move it. So I'm starting to stream on YouTube now because Twitch is fine, but I found that I was getting more attention on YouTube, and if it was kind of tedious to export videos from Twitch to YouTube, so I'm just going to start streaming on YouTube and cut Twitch out of the loop, I think. Okay, so this looks crazy right now. Looks fine, but it just looks like a low poly blue and pink blob, so this is where the fun comes in. And I'm really hoping that Blender auto created UV maps, but I'm not sure that it did. So what I'm going to do, and it's been a while since I've done this, but oops. I'm going to go into, so my stack is, and I'm lucky, the one thing about being a legacy .NET desktop developer as my day job is I can afford things like Substance Painter, Photoshop, and I don't pay for Blender, but Substance Painter and Photoshop primarily. If you didn't know about Substance, we're going to be using it a lot today. It's really cool. It allows you to paint UV map, or paint directly onto a mesh, and it gets onto the map for you. It gets mapped to your UV map, which you can see in this pane on the right. So you can actually just get your drawing tablet out, which I'm too lazy to do today, but get your drawing tablet out and paint directly on the model. But we'll see all that really soon. And it's got a lot of features, but Adobe bought a Logarithmic, which made Substance Painter maybe a couple of years ago, but a Logarithmic had a lifetime purchase guarantee with its previous customers. So that means that Adobe's subscription model still applies for versions of Substance Painter that are newer than 2023. But if you want to pay, I think it's about $150, then you don't have to pay the $20 monthly Adobe fee. You can just pay a one-time $150 fee and have Substance Painter 2023 for life. Okay, man, it's been a while since every time I open up Substance I have to remember what my workflow is, but did I make myself a custom asset pack? I don't think so. So let's just start with PBR. I can call down the ones that I want. Now I think, oh, not Animusic. I think that what I'm trying to do is I'm going to take the low poly mesh and bake the high poly data onto it, which is so fun and cool. Whoever figured that out is so smart. Okay, mesh. So I think we start with low poly. Oh, and I guess I didn't think about this. So this is a scene, and I have multiple meshes in this scene, so I don't know what that's gonna do for me. Oh, that's right, I can do auto unwrap. I did that last time. Okay, what is this gonna do? Oh, okay. You know, I don't need a lot of crazy texture density, so I think that having them side by side will probably be fine. And, oh, but does... I'm gonna try it. I'm worried that auto unwrap won't be able to cross over the high poly, low poly boundary. Okay, so then I can go into mode, bake mesh maps, use the low poly mesh as the high poly mesh. I don't think that's what I want to check. Okay, so then I have, oh yeah, this is it. So now I'm uploading the high poly mesh on top of it. And I think you just want to look for any red. And I don't see any red. That should be okay. Okay, and I want to bake the normals for sure, the world space normals for sure. Height, I don't care about. I really, ambient occlusion I want, position I want. So what this is doing is I have a lot of detail on my high poly mesh. It's something like hundreds of thousands of vertices per mesh here. I'm going to, I think you can kind of explain it as, I'm going to generate some texture files that represent the ambient occlusion, the normals, the world space normals for the high poly mesh, and then use those to map lighting onto the low poly mesh. So let's try that. Okay, then do I just return to painting mode? That's the button. Okay, so that is so cool. I don't know if you saw the difference, but now my staff is all sorts of jaggies and zigzags, but this is still my 800 dry staff instead of my 100,000 one. And then the hand, look at that, you can see fingernails, and the geometry itself isn't there, it's just the normal map is applying lighting, the lighting is able to play off of the normal map, which simulates these fine details. Okay, now I need to be able to, my final thing is I want two textures. I want a world space normals, if I'm remembering what I set up for the shader earlier this year. I want world space normals, and I want my base color. So I'm going to start with a layer. Let's just do a new fill layer, and I'll start with, oh, I forgot I was going to give him cool fingernails, because he doesn't look very wizard-like right now. Actually, the low poly did kind of give him sort of looks like fingernails. These little, almost looks like he has claws. I'll call that good for now. This is the coolest stuff. This technology is so fun. Alright. Now, there we go. We want to add a layer mask. And we want to define the mask. Oh, and then in order to test that our layer mask is working, I have to change the color. And so these here are the different channels you can write to. And right now I care about the color only. I'm going to start with the base color. And then to make sure that my map is doing what I want, I pick something like red. And then I can go back to my map. That's exactly right. Oh! Actually, it's not quite right. Oh, I see. There's a little bit of... So the low poly hasn't quite made it all the way up to the high poly. That's kind of a bummer. We'll see if that matters. Maybe it'll look like a cool shadow. And then always name your layers. I'm going to call this one Staff Wood. Make a new fill layer, and this time also only want to write to the color channel. I'm going to choose blue, add a new black mask, and we're going to call this one Staff Orb. So these masks allow me to paint only in the red area and only in the blue area. So even if I want to make like an individual painting layer, which isn't a fill layer, it allows you to use a paintbrush, I can still apply this mask on top of it. No matter where I paint, it'll stick to the orb. or the wood, depending on what layer I'm working on. Okay, and then we need one more, I think, for now for the skin. I don't know that I'll do any kind of color for his fingernails, so we'll leave that. Okay. I highly recommend buying the Steam Substance Painter. This tool is so good. And I bet there are free comparable programs out there. I just don't know what they are. Okay, so we're gonna make him yellow for now. And then we're gonna choose hand. We'll just call that hand. Okay, so this actually, the texturing usually goes pretty quick because most of the work is going to be in the normal map. And then the shader can take it from there. So let's do actually, and I'm going to go to base color because this is really all that will get exported. That in the normal map, but you know, I've never learned how to create a consistent color scheme, but I want to go pretty. I normally fall into the habit of going really desaturated. I really like that look, but I'm going for like a pulp fantasy, or if you think about paperback books, the front covers of paperback books that were made in the 60s and 70s after Lord of the Rings became really popular and people wanted to just make as much money as possible with cheap fantasy knockoffs, and so they painted like pretty astounding acrylic and oil paintings for these covers, but they all have a certain kind of saturation to them, and they're kind of a little bit camp. Well, not a little bit, they're campy. Although it's really important to me for this game that I try to avoid the camp, so it's a delicate balance. I think that's a little too orange. This is my first YouTube stream, so I don't actually even know if I'm streaming right now, but we're just gonna let go and let God. Okay, and then here, this is just so fun. What color do I want the orb to be? I think I want like a light lilac. Oh, that's actually, that ultramarine color is pretty cool. I think I was kind of liking that. Oops. Yeah, maybe a little more blue. It's not within my usual aesthetic to go so cartoony, but I think it will look good with what I'm thinking. Okay, and then just choose like a I might put age spots because he's a wizard. What color is my arm? More red. I feel like wizards are really pale. They should be pale. Now I might give this guy a little bit more here. Okay, so let's do another layer, but oh, I want this to be not a fill layer actually. This to be a painting layer, and then I want to copy the mask. Okay. Now brushes. We only wonder if I want, I don't think I want any freckles to show up or age spots to show up in the normal channel. Or do I? Oh, no, not white. We want something like a... Oh, oh. That doesn't look like the color I chose. It just looks weird. That's too much. Well, that's kind of looks like veins, doesn't it? Look at that. That's really cool. Oh, this is so fun. I feel like a wizard could, but veins should go on the normal map channel. That's too many. Oh, and I think that's like the here. I haven't figured out how to normal map correctly, or what it really means for how the colors map to height and all of that and displacement, but it's okay. Usually if I do something, it works out pretty well. That seems like too much. I gotta erase some of that. Oh, I need a... there. Okay, and then I did want age spots of some kind. Ooh, elephant skin, that seems nice. That'd be a good bruise. Basmati brush. Ooh. That almost works for hair. Ooh. Something. It does work for hair, but maybe hair isn't really a wizard thing. It's too inky. Ooh, that's kind of a cool effect. Puckering, what do you look like? I'm telling you, it's $150 well worth it. Well spent. Spray skin. Oh. No. That's just not exactly what I'm looking for here. Maybe just weird crackly hands will be enough for now. We can come back and add stuff if we need to. Alright, let's keep that as a baseline. Okay, we want to go into, what were you? Oops. Okay, and then I want, for each of them, I need a new... This was magical the first time I pulled this off. I just have to remember how to do it. Okay, so this layer will only be in the normal channel. And it's going to be... the world space normals. this one on top of here so it doesn't get clobbered. Oh yeah, they show up a little bit. I think they're in the opposite direction of what I want them to be. Oh well. Okay, so I think that, even though it sounds weird, I think world space normals was what I wanted. Is okay. No. I swear I made a template. One thing I don't know about Substance Painter is its system for how it associates assets with projects in other, and where it stores your presets and stuff. Okay, I want a new preset. I'm gonna call it chair normal base color. Now on RGB, probably RGBA. We want to call this normal, and we want it to be I think just the I can't remember if this is how I had it set up. Okay, and then we also need, where is it, this one? Base. By calling the actual textures. Oh, it's not very helpful. Base. Color. And we want oh, there it is. Can't remember. What if I try from base color instead of... Oh. I don't have an alpha channel right now, so that might be okay. So settings, then we choose. Now where is it? Yeah. Okay, now save. Okay, now what if I cancel and then try to... There it is. We want to move this to view, mesh, hand staff. Okay. So then we come into here. Grab the normal and the base color, and we bring them into texture, folder, hands, staff. I need, actually, we follow camel case. Actually, that's not camel case. What is this? Is that Pascal case? Whatever. then we go over to our manifest folder, which is here. Okay, so now we're in the game engine. Actually, we're in the game. And the game has a manifest file that can point to the textures that you want. So we need one, and you just have to add the names of them and their location. So raw texture, hands, staff. But the problem is I didn't. Oh. I may have to re-export the FBX out of Substance Painter now that I've done the UV mapping in Substance Painter. I may have to do that. Base, color, texture, hands, staff, base, color, yeah, I do think I have to do that, which I'm concerned about it not clobbering my, or about it clobbering. Don't want to do, maybe I do. Okay, let's try that. Okay. Okay, let's see if that works. So we're going to run our conversion tool. Oh no. Okay, well I think because my... Okay, here's what I'm going to try to do. Dang. So it didn't find any animations in the scene, which means that Substance didn't export them. So what I need to do is... Oh no. Import resources. Re-import the low poly. Oh, I don't think that's... Shoot. Shoot. I don't want to have to redo all this. Edit. Okay, but I don't want automatic UV. Ooh, that's kind of cool though. I don't want automatic UV unwrapping when I re-import. So the problem that I'm running into is I didn't UV unwrap in Blender because I wanted Substance to do it for me. Substance did do it for me and it did a good job, but when I exported it, it didn't export the mesh. Or the, no, it did export the mesh. It didn't export the animation data. I wonder if I can, you know what? Maybe I can just cheat. So that, I think the reason why this was working before is because I've already imported the animation data. Oh yeah, well I don't, okay. And I used to have two separate folders for the input, so I had a mesh folder and a skeletal animation folder, so we had to have duplicates of the mesh. But, okay, so it did build the meshes. And if I can either do two things to solve this. I think for now I'm just going to make a skeletal animation folder. Or no, I'm just going to duplicate this. Okay, I will fix this later, but mostly I'm curious to see if my workflow, try to remember my workflow here. Okay, so that's the one that I need to fix because it doesn't have animation data in it, hence this much smaller size. So then if I go back to the manifest, then I can just tell it to look at the original file for the animation, and then for the mesh, which is the one that needs the UV unwrapping, I can have it look here. Okay. Then Cal wrote this really cool code generator that generates the C++ code for all of the assets. So it just generated this whole file. So now if I need to use this texture, I just can. So if I want to go here and say white properties, I can make two new materials. I'm going to make a staff material and I'm going to make a hand material to get rid of these, oops, to get rid of these placeholders that I have. Okay, and then most of these are probably good, but we want the diffuse text to be texture. What was it? Hand staff base color. Oh yeah, they both share the same base color. This is probably, I probably need to be cleaner about this and more disciplined and split them into two separate files. But we'll see. Depends on how much of that normal detail will be compressed beyond all can by having them share the same file. I guess technically they can have the same, oh boy, the same material. That's gross. I definitely will fix that. But mostly I'm just working on a vertical, so yeah, I should talk about that. I'm working on a vertical slice to see if I can actually get a small amount of playable content in the game, but mostly it's kind of in between a POC and a demo because I want to start seeing if I can get any attention on the game ASAP. So some of this is just, I hate doing throwaway work, but I have a deadline of 1 month to try to get the vertical slice out. So we do want to use flat shading, so I'm gonna leave them as 2 for now until I run into a problem with them being into normal text. Text equals hands staff normal. Let's just see. Oh, that will need to change the seam. Hands, staff, and okay. Let's see where that put us. Okay, hand staff is not a member of material. What did I call it? Oh, yeah. What should be called hand staff? There's only one hand. Oh. Oh. Must have somehow need to regenerate the skeletal animation folder. It's telling me that the serialization for the NCA file for the animation is wrong. I'll just delete both of these and regenerate them. You did not take my textures. Why? Oh, maybe. Oh, actually, it probably did. It's just there's no light. Oops. I don't want a spotlight. Oh, yeah, you did. Okay. So let's see how these normals are working here. Let's bump the radius up to something like 500. Oh, but your animations are broken. I just have to do this the proper way, I think, unfortunately. Which is okay, but let's see how these textures are looking since I'm in here. Okay, we want to send this down. I want this to be 1. This to go up a little bit. Staff. There we go. And the hand, we also use texture normals. So let's get some more light. I don't think I need such a pinky gradient right now. That has some promise. And need some help though. Okay, so I have a couple problems here. The first is I need to go back to Blender and separate these into two separate FBX files. Right, BRB bathroom break. Okay. So, one time, back when I was a junior engineer, I got some very good wisdom from a developer, and it was do it the right way or do it twice. So here I am. Okay, so what I really want to do is I want to make these two separate files. And I want to call this just hand low poly. And I want to I wonder what's okay, actually I could do selected objects, but I don't know how to properly capture all the animations, so I'm going to save as a Blender file for just hand low poly, which is kind of a bummer because I can't easily tweak the animation, so I'll try not to edit anything here. Okay, and I will delete you and delete you. And to save on space, I need to delete. Okay, so I want to now check my action editor to see if I have. Okay, so the staff cast, I want to unfake and I want to delete it. Okay, and then I want to close and reopen Blender to delete that action. So now I just want to open up hand low poly. Okay, and then what do we have for actions? Cast and idle, that's right. Armatures, just one. Okay, then I want to properly UV map the thing. And the good thing about Substance Painter is it's pretty forgiving and you can generally get away with smart UV project. Okay. Then back to object mode. file, export, FBX. We want FBX units, scale, Z forward, Y up, apply transforms. And I'm going to make a new folder called hand. Export. Export. Now I want to open up hand staff low poly and then save it as just staff low poly. Make a new, oh, I can, he can live here. Then delete you and you. Oh, but there was a constraint. But I hope my baked animation still works because I baked it as visual keys, meaning that I think what it means is Blender just look at whatever is happening here and bake that to the armature rather than, because I can't export constraint data into the engine. Okay, so let's try that. Let's go back to do the same cleanup. Blender file, actions, delete, and delete. Armatures, delete. Okay. Save, and then, oh. I wonder how that's going to handle the sphere. Let's look. Oh, that should be fine. Ooh, that might not be fine. Modeling. Oh, I'm in edit mode. That's why. Okay, thank goodness. Okay. Should still be good. So we can export as FBX, make a new folder called staff, and then FBX units, scale, Z forward, Y up, apply transforms. Okay, so then first things first is to go into the engine and actually copy those puppies over. Okay. And I don't need you anymore. Okay, and then that should contain the animation data and the UV map and the mesh. Okay, so the first mesh is just going to be hand, I mean, and subresource name hand. That should still be accurate. Then the second mesh. Is that what you're called? Yeah, okay. Staff. Oh, that, yeah, this is what my output folder. Okay. And then this will have to go as well, but I'll fix that later. And next. Now, similarly, for animation. Hey, Det Wolf. Welcome to the stream. Don't know how long you've been on, but I am working on assets for a sword and sorcery game in my the engine I've been writing for like 5 years in C++. And I made a blunder, which was to try to bundle up both the hand and the staff animation together in one FBX file, which in Unity would be perfectly fine, but my workflow with the game engine doesn't quite support that, and I was trying to be lazy, so now I'm doing things the right way and separating them out as separate files. Okay, so we go to hand, and then this will be just those two. Then this will be staff. And you will just be this one. Okay, so this is going into a hand folder. You're going into a staff folder. You're going into a hand folder. You need to go into a staff folder. Okay, hand, hand, hand. Staff, staff, staff. Okay, we're getting more textures for now. We'll fix those next. Alright, let's see if I dotted all my I's and crossed all my T's. Oh. Okay, you were upset about line 22. Oh. Okay, nice. So that should have worked. Let's regenerate the asset. C++ code. Oh yeah, now I have to update you too. So mesh, let's see. This is the game scene, and this is where we actually add the mesh and the entity to the game. So now you're not called, I think you're called hand. And then material, well, that can stay for now. Animation hand cast. And then you're gonna be staff. And you're gonna be staff cast. I think that's right. We can look here. Hand, and staff. Peak of organization. Okay. Oh no. Now they're out of sync. Oh. You know, that could just be, maybe I fixed the problem that had initially caused them to be out of sync. And if I make you uniform, they're the same scale and position. So, thank you. No, I went to college for computer science, and then I have been a .NET desktop developer for most of my career, like 13 years now or something, 14? I don't know. No, not that many. 12 years. And so I don't do any C++ at work, but I am self-taught as far as game dev goes, but my other half that is not currently programming in the engine has taught me a lot of C++. So maybe long answer kind of, or short answer kind of, but long answer no. Well, one thing I love to talk about whenever I have anyone on my stream, which is becoming a more common occurrence now. I occasionally get people on my stream, which is exciting, but I truly feel like I would be suffering from extreme imposter syndrome with C++, but I realized a long time ago you do not have to be a Casey Muratori or a Jonathan Blow. You literally just have to be persistent and you will eventually learn what you need to learn. Oh, see, look at that. The exporting them and doing it the right way as 2 separate FBX files fixed the original scaling problem. Okay, so now let's fix the textures. So unfortunately we have to redo everything we did in Substance Painter, which is kind of a bummer, but now we can choose our template that we made. Oh, maybe export settings aren't the same as templates. That actually makes sense. So I don't want to auto unwrap. And this time I want to choose my... Let's start with the staff because it's cooler. Okay. Okay, so this is the low poly version of the staff. This is the coolest thing ever. So you can go into edit, and I don't know when you joined at Wolf, but I highly recommend buying Substance Painter, but do not buy it through, if you want to do any kind of texturing for meshes, do not buy it through Adobe because they bought Allegorithmic, the company that made Substance Painter. But Allegorithmic had a terms of service agreement with their original customer saying that if you bought it one time, you would own it for life. So to honor that, you can just go onto Steam and buy for $150, which is a lot, but it is worth it. You can buy a lifetime, I don't want to say membership, but a lifetime license to Substance Painter. The only caveat being that Adobe isn't giving it any kind of, they're just doing maintenance releases on it now, so that's a bummer, but they stopped in 2023, so it's fairly modern for the time being, and it does everything I need to do with the feature set it has, so highly recommend. But anyway, I've made a low poly and a high poly version of the staff. This is the low poly one, and this is the coolest thing ever. You can go into mode, bake mesh maps, and you can choose the, oh, I have to also export the high poly version of the map. That's a bummer. That's annoying. Okay, save. So I have a combined high poly version here, and I want to do the same thing. So let's do, save this one as staff high poly. I recently unlocked this knowledge about how to bake high poly maps onto low poly maps, which is, I feel like I am a god now. It's so exciting being able to do this. Okay, so now this is just the staff, so I can delete the hand, and I don't think I care about cleaning up the actions because it's just going to be for the mesh. But okay, this is where it gets gross, because how can I ensure that my UV maps are in line? I don't think they're going to be. I can't remember how I solved this problem in the past. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to try is exporting it without doing anything to the UVs. Z forward, Y up. Okay, so without doing any UV mapping, what happens if I just choose it in Substance Painter? Oh, it may just work. Oh, that'd be amazing. Okay, so I want to bake the normal map, the world space normal map, ambient occlusion. I don't care about ID. I don't actually know what that is. The thickness might be nice to have too, so we hit bake. Oh, it just worked. That's awesome. So now you can see a whole bunch of details from my high poly mesh, which has 100,000 triangles, on my low poly mesh, which has something like 800. Oh, that is exciting that I don't have to do the UV mapping for the high poly mesh, because I don't know how to solve that problem. Okay, so now I'm going to add a fill layer, and luckily this stuff goes quick. The way that I've designed my shader was to minimize any kind of manual painting work, and so I have to do a little bit, but nothing too crazy. So I choose just any kind of base color. I turn off the channels for height, roughness, metal, and normal. And I'm just choosing red for now so that I can see where my mask is. Then I add a black mask and it come into here. Nope. This one always looks like the one beneath it. And so I click on it. Okay, mesh fill. There we go. Name this one staff wood. Then make another one. Do the same thing. Then add a black mask and select just the orb. Call this one orb. Then come back in here and choose a color. Let's go to the base color channel. Well, doesn't actually matter for now. That looks nice and retro. So I was saying earlier that I generally, when I'm doing my own or artwork for previous games, I should say, I tend to lean towards like a desaturated look, but I'm really leaning into the, for this game that I'm working on now, I'm really leaning into like the pulp fantasy paperback paintings that came out in the 60s and 70s and the Lord of the Rings fantasy craze when paperback writers were trying to capitalize on that. So that's all vibrant colors and primary colors. Okay, let's do a little bit of... I had such a good color picked out on my last one. We'll try it. Now we want the normal map, and the way that I did that, I think, is to go into turn off all the color channels except for normals, and then choose world space normals. So how does that... I can't remember if I wanted world space normals or regular normals, because I did my shader in a weird way that I think I wanted world space normals, but I'm gonna try the other baked normals. Oh, I think that was actually what I wanted. We'll see in the engine. Okay. So now I can just export the textures because I didn't do anything with the mesh. And you know, I was complaining, but that really didn't take that long. Okay. Now we want my normal base color texture set. Export. Okay, so before I do the same thing for the other one, I want to make sure that my assumption about which normal map to use was right. Okay, we want... This time it's just staff. Oh, I have to... Where did I put it? I've got to copy it over. Okay, so staff, base color, and staff normal. So now we can re-import this texture asset. So texture. Oh. Weird, I don't remember fixing this already. Okay. generate. I wish I could say that I wrote. Oh. Oh, thank you. It is gnarly. Okay, yeah, so I've been working on the shader. I got keyed into like this, and I'm so salty about it. I found like a dark fantasy image on Pinterest one day when I was looking at hairstyles, and I got super into it, and that was last year. So I started making a dark fantasy-esque shader, and what that means is like I don't actually know if I have a good image of it right now, but think like really detailed character with like kind of, for like a barbarian, think like really ripped muscles, but it's kind of painted as if it's a paperback, and then there's a specific outline to it. Let me see, I will find an image of what I ended up with here. And don't worry about breaking my workflow, because with art it's like I don't have to focus too deeply, which is why I'm streaming anyway. I like chatting. Okay, I'm trying to find I took a screenshot of my final output of the shader that I was super happy with, and I can show you as soon as I remember where I put it. This is just okay, that's a really horrible screenshot because it's really low res and I can't find the high res one, but there's like a cross hatching here, and there's an outline, and the shadows work off of the normal maps so that you can get some like really nice fine details with the shadows with lighting. So I did that earlier in the year, and then I started actually working on a game where you can make hats. Hey Beanier, sorry if I'm screwing up your name. I started working earlier this year in a game where you can make hats, like a physics hat designer, because that sounds super fun. And whoever watches this in the future, don't steal that idea, because I am going to make it. But then I started playing Daggerfall and got this just huge nostalgia wave. I'm too young to have been like, I got into the Elder Scrolls series with Morrowind, so I got really into Morrowind. But I've recently been really into Daggerfall, and then that got me looking into like Ultima and all these, in Arena now, and just like really, I have this horrible nostalgia for the 90s, and I think it's because of all the stress of our current political situation and all of that, but just being a grown-up now. But all that to say, the game that I'm working on is something I'm trying to finish within about a year from now, a scope, but it's going to be a deck builder, a multiplayer deck builder, and it already sounds like I'm building a fantasy MMORPG with dragons, and the scope's crazy, but it's actually pretty reasonable. I'm going to build a deck builder where you can essentially, like, you're going to be dungeon crawling, but the actions you take, so you'll have to level, like, work your way into getting a weapon card, for example, and then you have to equip your weapon card, and then you have different levels of attack cards. So it's a kind of a randomized, I can't bear to say roguelike because it really isn't, but like a dungeon crawler multiplayer deck builder game. And I have a mock-up so far that I've been working on the UI. I didn't make any of this art, I just cobbled it together, but you'll have cards like Magic Missile and like straight up D&D sword and sorcery style cards you can draw from, and then there'll be a skill tree, and that's kind of primarily the library of cards that you can build into cards or build your deck out of. So you're going to have stat points, and there you can train your stats and then use those stats to level up, if you will, into the skill tree, which just means buying cards to add to your deck using your stat points that you've accrued. So I'm very, very excited about it. I've never actually explained it out loud from beginning to end to anybody, so that's probably pretty scrambled, but I think it's actually within scope for me to make within a year from now. Follow along and you'll see how I'm doing in 6 months to see if that's realistic. But that is the plan. And Banier, so I've been coding for a long time. Thank you. I've been coding for a long time. The first ever line of code I did was probably, oh my god, I'm getting really old, 18 years ago. But so I was 14, and that was in the Morrowind construction kit that the Bethesda shipped with the PC version of Morrowind. And I did like just really light scripting on that. Like, I went through the tutorials and I did a couple other dinky things on there. And then I didn't program again until I was 17 or 18, and then I got into Python and Pygame and did some fun stuff with Pygame. And then I went to college and programmed in college and got an internship pretty early on, and so programming daily for more or less daily for like 13 years, 14 years, something like that. But my day job is in .NET, VB.NET, legacy desktop development, and sometimes C# if we get lucky. Okay, so we have the staff base color, staff normal. Did we? I think I ran the code generator. Oh yeah, okay, now I just have to update these. So the material now, I've only made the staff material thus far, so let's update that. Staff. Okay, now your texture is going to be, I think it's staff base color. I think that maybe the folder structure is going to be unnecessary. Does Godot use Python? I thought Godot's claim to fame was you could also write in C. Oh, maybe I'm thinking about Unreal. Yeah. Python and Pygame are awesome. I think they're really good for learning about things like rendering to a line and like what is a frame and frame rate and just the game loop. That's awesome. Oh no, we want staff normal. This naming scheme is unhinged already. We're going off the rails. Okay, let's try that. Then we have to go back to the combat scene and then just have the material be for the hand. Just you can be staff material for now. It doesn't matter. We'll fix you next. What are you trying to make in Python and Pygame? Oh, what did I call you? What did we end up with here for textures? Oh, it isn't deranged. Look at that. It's just staff base color. And staff normal. Oh, cool. Yeah, I've heard a lot of really good things about Godot. I'm somewhere in between deep pride about the game engine and sunk cost fallacy, because I haven't worked on this alone. My husband and I have been working on it for 5 years. He did a lot of the architectural stuff. I've done mostly only graphics, and graphics is a lot, but like the ECS he made and a lot of the efficiency stuff he's done. But I wrote the first graphics renderer in Vulkan, and then I wrote the second one in a library called Diligent, which is really cool. It's like a somewhere in between DirectX 11 and DirectX 12 are OpenGL, or not OpenGL, DirectX 12 are Vulkan in terms of level, like low level, high level. So it's more, low level than DirectX 11 or OpenGL, but it's higher level than something like straight Vulkan. Ooh, that looks crazy. I think I do need my world space normals. Let's turn post-process on and see how that's... Yeah, I think I do need post-process effects. But anyway, what Diligent does, and I like to plug them everywhere, I have no affiliation with them, it's just a really good library, and the dev that made it is super responsive on Discord. But what they do is they let you write like that medium level graphics code, but what he does under the hood is he ports it automatically. It's interoperable with Linux and Windows and Mac. Mac has a caveat, but also will work for OpenGL, DirectX 11, DirectX 12, Vulkan, and Metal. I think you have to buy a license for Metal, but it's super cool. So that, and WebGPU or WebGL. Are those two separate languages? I haven't gotten into them yet. Oh, fun. I think the first game I ever made in Pygame was Snake. That's cool. Oh no, it was Brick Breaker. Like Brick Breaker's like Pong, but it's single player Pong where you try to knock the bricks. Okay, now the stinky part of the animation is like I can't actually see what needs to be fixed. I think that is definitely not good. I have to figure out what the problem is here. Okay, let's start with it's much harder actually to tweak the settings with the animation in. Okay, one. So I had very little C++ experience when I started trying to write the Vulkan, and I had no graphics programming experience outside of like Pygame, which does definitely count for something because you learn a lot of the concepts there. When I tried to start writing a Vulkan render, and it took legitimately 4 years to write something we could actually make a game with, and we made a game for the Pirate Software Game Jam. May God rest his reputation. In 2024, I think. So it's game ready. Oh, this is gonna be really hard. I almost want to turn the animation off, but we can't do that in editor. Okay, turn that way down. Now let's go to the material. Staff. Oh, there we go. Okay, oh, yeah. I think I do want world space normals. It's really hard to tell. Let's add some more lights. What's going on here? Yeah, something's funky. It's unfortunately just really hard to tell what that thing is. Let's turn the gradient to something more reasonable. Ooh. Okay, I'm going to save. No, I'm working on it by myself. He has taken a hiatus from the engine to work on music. An indefinite hiatus, which is kind of scary. We'll see. But he's just working on music stuff now. Okay, so I called it staff. So let's try instead using world space normals. No, we want substance painter. Normal channel. I thought it was world space normals. I really should have written it down because I remember it looking weird in here, but then being looking good because I think that that's what I had it wired up to be in the shader. Okay, export. Now, staff and staff. Copy it over. Oh no. All right, what has gone awry and why? Okay, the normal intensity is way too high. Let's debug. Okay, that much is the outline. Okay, so the outlines are actually following what I want. So where's this black coming from? Could be my point light shadows. Okay, not entirely. You actually look right as far as where I want you to be. But texture normals are definitely wrong. Okay, I wonder if it's just a scene serialization thing, and if I start from new, I just need to add a point light in the C++ so I don't have to keep adding one. Okay. Let's take shadows off just to get rid of variables. I'm looking for a nice, gentle outline on all the high poly stuff that I have in the high poly mesh, so all the cracks and the lines and stuff and the burls and the gnarls. But let's see, so let's turn our post-process effect on. That gives us our outline. Maybe it was just a serialization thing, was not updating the texture. That could be. Okay, one. Let's turn your red just to see what's what. No, that's way too much. Turn. Okay, there we go. One. That's about where I want all the crafts to be. I'm gonna set some of this up now so I don't have to keep setting it up in the editor. Okay. Oh, what are your parameters? Let's pull up our other project here. Oh yeah, we need an entity, of course. Nice. Entity. Now we wanted you to be... Where's the shot? Okay. $14, $10, and -1. And then 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1. Okay, and then point lights parameters are. Oops, I want you to be light. And your parameters are what is the handle to the entity. I think this is intensity. Or no, you think these are both color. Vector 3. White is just fine. And then yeah, intensity and then radius, so 200. Okay, and then I have an example of the post-process. Okay. So, did I get the NC graphics module? Oh. You returned as a pointer, I think. So all I'm doing now is every time I launch the game, I've been fiddling with setting up the post-process effect as well as re-adding the point light. I'm just serializing and writing these down now so I don't have to add them each time. Graphics equals modules dot. And what I'm working on specifically right now is working on making a vertical slice so I can have, next time someone asks me what I'm working on for my game, I can actually show them and have the UI fleshed out and a little bit of the gameplay, just like in the non-networked demo single player mode. I'm not going to get all of it done, but enough to show a couple of cards and how they work and particle effects and such. And I'm trying to get that done by September, so we'll see. That might be ambitious. Okay. effect, and I think I need this in my assets folder, but I will look. Process. Pass, flags, outline. Outline, pass, properties. Okay, now I need my other screenshot window open. Not you. There we go. Okay. The width, we want to be 1.0. Depth threshold. Equals 1.41. Depth threshold equals 0.04. Actually, no, you're 1.8. In my in the sample project we shipped with the engine is where I'm looking at the last time I did this code. I just copied that from there. 0.30. Alright, let's see if that compiles. I might get linker errors. Or can't find this header file errors. We'll see. Yeah. What are you first mad about? Well, that's an easy one. What if that was only the problem? That'd be amazing. Thank you. I'm definitely doing the sound effects myself. I'm not doing the music myself, so I'm gonna come and beg for my husband's mercy and ask him to do it for me, because that's what he's kind of working on right now. He's always been really good at music, but I can just tell him things generally like, I want something to sound like so I don't have any musical capability and I can't talk music, so I can just say something like, I want something to sound goblin-y and swampy, but with like a gothic feel to it, and then he can legitimately from that garbled sentence make me a great song. So I'm hoping he's still willing to do that for me. I think he got a little bit burnt out because we've tried so many projects that we abandoned midway through after making a lot of progress, and it can get to be too much, so. Alright. Maybe we want the width to be 2. I need to figure out where this weird shadow's coming from. Oh. Okay. Why? Well, I think I have to close the saga on, is it World Space Normals or Tangent Normals here for the night, but I'm going to try to stream, just try to get one regular stream in a week that I'll start scheduling now that I'm on YouTube, and then maybe an additional one, but I haven't figured out a good day for that regular one. But thank you guys, thanks for joining. I'll either be still working on fixing the World Space versus Tangent Space Normals, or I'll be on to making the other hand and some particle effects, we'll see.